Hey there, my name is Christopher Mazurk with Maslow, and I'm back again with some more content. Today, it's on reporting your marketing as a small business. Let's get to it. Okay, so you've done all this hard work and you've worked with your marketing team and you guys have put together a beautiful website and you're building content and you're maybe even spending money to drive people through pay-per-click. You're doing all the right things, but how do you know if it's working? Well, that's where you have to set up your reporting. A lot of businesses don't do it. It's not really that complicated. There's some really basic steps to it, and we're going to go over those today. And the first step, the first thing before you do anything else, hopefully, that you're thinking about are your key performance indicators or your KPIs. Now, there are two types of KPIs that are important. There are leading KPIs that give you an idea of how your efforts are performing before it's too late. And there are lagging KPIs, which are actually ultimately the goal you really want. So a typical lagging KPI is going to be how many sales you got per month or what your revenue was per month. There are all those kinds of things. Now, as a business owner, you want that, but if you get to the end of the month and you're not hitting your goal, you don't really have a lot of place to turn after that, right? Because you're at the end of the month. So that's why leading KPIs are super, super important. So on a website, your leading KPI is going to be the number of visitors per day. That's what I want you looking at least once a week, if not more, is the number of visitors that your website is getting per day. And your lagging KPI, and again, maybe your lagging KPI for your business is revenue or sales or whatever that is, but your website and your business are slightly different. Your lagging KPI for your website is going to be the number of conversions that you get or people that fill out forms. Or if you're an e-commerce store, it might be the number of people that actually purchase your product. But let's just say you're B2B, it's going to be the number of people that fill out the form that you're trying to drive them to on your website. So let's talk about that form. So most forms are going to want to be as basic as you possibly can. And there are some simple rules around that, right? So if you are sending them over and they're mostly anonymous and they're brand new, they're right at the beginning of the buyer journey, then you're probably going to want to keep it as simple as possible. Maybe just ask for the email address. But wait, Chris, what are we going to do with just an email address? Well, you can put them in something called a nurturing campaign at that point where you try to get more information from them. So think of it like somebody's walking down the street and it's Christmas time and they're walking down the street and they stop by this really nice dress shop. Because we all want a really nice dress, right? And they look in the window and they see that beautiful dress, but maybe they don't know if they can afford it or if it would look great on them. So they just keep walking. Now, if you had a mechanism by which to capture just a little bit of their contact information, you could stay in front of them and say, hey, Chris, come back and get that nice dress that you really want. I don't know, maybe, right? Who knows? So the first thing is always start with email address. If nothing else, capture their email address. So let's step it up just a little bit from there. The next place that you want to think is name and phone number, right? You already got your email address over here. Now you want name and phone number. So the trick is I want to make sure that you get first name and last name. A lot of websites will just ask for the full name. And granted, they've gotten a lot better at splitting the first name from the last name after it's submitted. Still, it doesn't hurt. Just ask for their first name and their last name. And then while you're at it, ask for their phone number. They can give you something fake, but never hurts to ask because then you can put them on a texting campaign. You can do all this other cool stuff with it, right? So a lot of people will also ask for a message. You don't necessarily want to do that. Just ask for the information. Then you can start a conversation with a human being after that. But just make sure it's all required. With that said, those are kind of the basics. Start with the email address, maybe add first name, last name, phone number if you feel like it's really important. And then what you're going to run into is now you've got this huge volume of leads that are coming in and your salespeople are going to be like, some of these aren't actually valid. So you're going to probably want to add in a qualifying question or two to make sure that they are, a right fit for your company. But start small. Start with the email address and then grow it as you go along. Let's just make sure you're getting some leads in the tank. Okay, so we've defined our key performance indicators and we have a form that is likely to be filled out by the people that are visiting your page. Here's the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake that people make with websites They'll make it so when the form is filled out, when they submit that form, it just pops up a thank you message on that page. Well, guess what? It's really hard to track the conversions at that point. Yeah, there's some fancy stuff that you can do to set things up with your reporting software, but a much easier way to do it is to create what I call a thank you page. So Chris fills out the form on the website, hits submit, and is redirected to a new page where it says, hey, Chris, thanks for filling this out. And bonus points if you've got some additional information on there, like a member of our team will get back to you within X number of hours, or here's some other stuff that might be important to you based on the form that you just filled out, or, make the customer experience a little bit better if you want to, but most importantly, make sure there's a thank you page. But here's one thing I don't want on your thank you page. If they're filling that form out to be able to download a PDF or something along those lines, do not link to the PDF on your thank you page. Link to the PDF in the email that they get after filling out the form. That way you know that email was valid. Otherwise, they can put in any kind of fake email that they want to. People do it all the time. I do it all the time. So make sure that you put that download link in the email, not on the thank you page. And one last note with the thank you page, and this is a little technical, so you may want to work with your webmaster. Make sure that that page is hidden from search engines. You don't want people to be able to get to that thank you page on Google. You want to make it so the only way they can get to that thank you page is by filling out that form. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of false positives in your marketing reports. Okay, so let's land this plane. So we've talked about KPIs, we've talked about forms, we've talked about thank you pages. The last thing that we need to talk about is Google Analytics. 1, use Google Analytics. 2, make sure that Google Analytics is set up on every single page on your website. Work with your webmaster if you need to. We'll have some helpful information in the PDF with some screenshots and stuff. So you can also just go to our website and download that thing if you want to do it yourself. But the last thing, and the instructions for this will be in that PDF if you go and grab it, is to make sure that you're configuring your goals in Google Analytics. So Google Analytics has this really awesome function where you can go in and you can say, these are the goals that I want to be happening on my website. So the goal is going to be that thank you page. So the URL for that thank you page that you set up when you were doing your form, that's only going to be used when people successfully submit the form. And what's really cool about goals, if you get into like some more advanced marketing reporting, is you can actually tie those to like cost per lead. So you can figure out how much money you're actually making off people that fill out forms and all that kind of cool stuff. We'll cover that in some future content. But yeah, what you can do is you can go into Google Analytics, set that goal up, and then you'll be able to look at these reports that tell you how many people visited your website. Remember, that's your leading KPI. And finally, how many people successfully filled out forms on your website. That's going to be your goal. So visitors and then goal completions are going to be your key performance indicators. Thank you for joining me, Chris Mazurk with Masloy, as we talked about setting up reporting for your marketing as a small business. I would love it if you would come to our website at masloy.com, where you can get a PDF with a bunch of screenshots that'll show you exactly where you need to go to set all these tools up. It's going to make your life a lot better. Come and check it out today.